And I imagine it's probably is no doubt different, but somewhat similar with working with such a massive brand like Woolworths. Like you talk about, it's great to say, and I think a lot of people have business ideas and you identify, you see a gap in the market and say, well, there's no food for 4-year-olds to 12-year-olds, but it's a pretty big leap to go from that to being in 900 supermarkets. And I think that alongside that is the financial element and making sure the business is protected, that it makes sense. Can you tell us, how did you go about actually making that happen? And in particular on the financial side of things, how do you do your planning around that to ensure that it is sustainable, that it makes sense, that there's a scale element and it's not, you don't end up as one of those horror stories that you hear of people that get sort of attracted to this massive deal but don't realize that it's not something that's viable in a business context.
So for example, every year I launch a new product. And when you see me launch a product, it's not, oh, she's got an idea, it's launching on the shelf. To be honest, for me from the start of finance to artwork to everything and how I'm going to fund that entire new range, the first person I sit down with is my finance manager. So before you go to Woolworths and say you have this idea, of course you have the idea of what new products you're going to launch, but attached with that is a massive spreadsheet of costings, which is also costing and promotions and how myself as a supplier and Woolworths as my client, how we are both going to be working together to make a success launch. So to be honest with you, for example, every time I launch a new product, it costs me $500,000. So I have to be very, very precise.
Yes.
And when it comes to finance, there's no such thing as gray area. It's either black or white. It has to be absolutely correct. So I would say by the time I get the product, I have to sit down with my finance manager to work out the costing of the spreadsheet. So for example, in my type of business, so when I'm doing the costing, I'm looking at, the costing for a product like mine is raw material, cook loss, wastage, freight, packaging, outgoings, marketing, and sales. I have to cost all that in. So the costing comes down to even 2 cents. It makes a big difference for me, right?
Yeah.
It's 2 cents that I can save. But at the end of the day, I want to, it's the labor cost and everything. So I would say in my job, if it took me a long time then to look for 10 years to search for the best finance manager. His name is Mukesh. He sits next to me every single day, 5 days a week. And we go through the finance. So like I said, before you launch a product, you have to work out that extensive spreadsheet. And you ask yourself, does this make sense for the business? Can we afford it? Because, launching a new product or having this great idea is not a hobby, it's business. And it's got to financially work for both the supplier and myself. Because if you do a product and you fail and you come back to a client, you say make losses, they also lost confidence and trust in you as well. So that's why I cannot stress how important planning the execution of finance planning in advance before you start any new product.
Yes, as you're talking, I'm drawing the parallels as well for people when it comes to their money and their, running the business of their personal finances as well. And I think that's where sometimes people can go wrong, that you think about, say, buying an investment property, but not knowing all of the detail that sits underneath that you can, that, as you know, the devil is in the detail, and you need to make sure it makes sense overall, not just the top line revenue or the bigger ticket expenses as well. So interesting.